Alright, we should be live. Happy Wednesday, everybody. First in the stream chat today is Stang 2007. What's up, Stang? Hello, hello, hello. We got giant robots in the house. Extreme Zone 987. We got the usual gang. What up, Dispatcher Gaming? We got Kale 130 as always. In Decline. Sup. Hazard Me, what up? We got Reluctant Hero. Mr. Savage. Firestorm. What up, Tech Blacksmith? How's everybody doing? What up, Havel the Rock? 1119. What is the significance of the 1119 in your name? What up, Man Stan? What up, Tony Martinez? You doing good, love? You chilling? Melissa's upstairs right now using the restroom, so I'm just holding her for a second. We have backup today before stream started, so we should be good. But I think she's due for a feeding anytime soon, so I'm hoping she could hold it together until Melissa gets back downstairs. She seems pretty chill right now, though. Hi, love. What up, HDZ? What up, Grayman Media? Hello, hello. Just felt like standing out. Okay. What up, Beans? Hello, Born Joker. What up, E? We got 5E. What up? It is Patrick McGovern. Hello, Patrick. Good to see you. Hello, Will. What up? We just chilling. Hi, girl. You ready to start typing? You ready to start typing on the computer? Here. I think the cutest thing to do with them is to put them at a table. Let me see if I can adjust the camera to show. Oh, wait, this way. Oh, wrong way. Ugh. Like to sit them at the table and then put their arms up, like when we're eating or something. So it looks like they're actually there. You ready to start learning how to type? Yes, this is how you type. You slam your fist on the space bar. I'm about to lock in a deal for 450 sticks of DDR2, DDR3 for 325 to hopefully flip on Marketplace for and use for builds. It depends. Are these like... Well, the DDR2 sticks, I don't imagine, are like that high capacity. But what about the DDR3? I don't know if the sticks of memory is as important as the total capacity. That's a lot to spend on old memory. It's you gotta tell me what the... I think the DDR2, unless people are doing like somewhat older builds or retro, I don't know how much use you're gonna have for flipping for builds. DDR3 is somewhat still usable, but yeah, it's kind of hard to give advice on that one, to be honest. I would need a spreadsheet of the breakdown between how much of it is DDR2 and DDR3, and of the two splits, what are the size of the sticks and total capacity you're getting. Because if you're getting like 2 gigabyte DDR3 sticks, that's not too usable. All you're making with those are like office PCs and things like that. Anyone think a 5090 for 2250 is worth it? Looking to buy one. That's about what they go for. I don't see any that are going for MSRP of 2000. So, yeah, 2250 actually sounds on the lower side of the 5090s that I've been seeing. I think I usually see them for like 2400 whenever they pop up on Reddit, or people are talking about like Micro Center pricing and stuff like that. What up, Pete Dunn? I think somebody's ready for bed. She's ready to eat, I think. Right? She's been taking naps all day. Danny, you ought to be ashamed of yourself bringing Melissa to protect you from being mugged. Dude, hormonal pregnant woman, perfect bodyguard. I wouldn't buy one used for that. You're better off spending a little extra to get the warranty. With the 5090s, I don't know if people are spending $22.50 on them used, unless it's like a Founders Edition one, because those are still super rare. What up, Wage War? What up, Light Skin Mike? Looks like she wants you to play some WoW, dude. I would love to get back into WoW. There's no way. There's no time in the world to get into WoW right now. I would love to play retail WoW, actually. I haven't touched retail for a while, but I kind of want to return. And the nice thing about retail is that, like, you can do things that last a long time on your account, like collecting mounts, collecting, armor, transmogs and stuff like that. So even though every expansion, the gear you get kind of gets reset and it gets obsolete, there are things in WoW you can do, like collections and stuff, that you will carry with your account for years to come. So I would love to get back to play retail WoW, but yeah, the time commitment, no way, Jose. Or even just popping in, I haven't had like any time on top of, trying to still keep on top of the YouTube channel and then taking care of the two girls. It's been pretty impossible. And right now I'm editing the LAN party stories video, which is, my goodness, taking so long. I think the pre-video for the LAN party stories is going to be like 30 or 40 minutes, I swear. That we did so much pre-Friday to prep that I have so much footage. I think I had like 5 hours of footage for the pre-LAN video, and it's so hard to cut that down. So we'll see. But yeah, plan is to hopefully, I'm going to like kill myself trying to do this, but the plan is to try to get the LAN video out, the full LAN, next weekend, if possible. If not, it will be for sure out the weekend after that, unless there's technical difficulties, which there sometimes is when you're, exporting a 3-hour-long video, trying to upload it to YouTube and stuff. Things sometimes go wrong with gigantic files like that. But yeah. Dispatcher Gaming just bought the Astro 5090 for $3,300. I know that's considered one of the, like, nicest 5090s, but my goodness, that upcharge. What up, Pedro? Micro Center by me has a PNY RGB 5090 for $2,200. Had 11 in stock last week, and they have 3 now. Okay, so they're still moving. Girl, you getting hungry? In your hand? Okay, getting drool on me. Thank you very much. Was one. Never got into WoW. What is retail WoW? Like base game? Retail WoW is the current version of WoW. And I say retail because they re-released Classic WoW, multiple versions of Classic. And I feel like when those came out, people liked those a lot. And a lot of people like that more than retail. It's kind of like old school RuneScape versus RuneScape 3. Yes, uh-oh. Uh-oh. What's going on? What's going on? Okay, we bounce. Yes. Oh, what's wrong, love? What's wrong? Okay, you just want bouncing. You just want bouncing and movement. She's ready to go to sleep. Nah, she's ready to feed. It's been like 2-ish hours. Okay, how about the shoulder position? You like this one? Yeah. You like this one? How old? They're about to be 3 months coming up. In less than a week. They will be 3 months old. Yeah. The baby is peak content. The baby is what limits my content output right now. You never go full land, lol. Okay. Let's see what mommy's up to. Is she taking a dump? Is that what's taking her so long? Alright. Okay. I've handed the baby off. Oh my goodness, look at that drool. This is my life now. You see all that? These girls be drooling like crazy. This is like my new favorite hoodie. And all they do is just spit up, blow, or what's it called? Throw up chunks and all that all over my shoulder every single time. Times 2. But that's the baby life. I think I'm more okay with handling their diapers and number 2s than when they spit up like visible white chunks. Something about the smell of throw up, it just makes me want to throw up. But anyways, let's see. Let me get caught back up on the chat. Hey chat, let's change. No. We can't just talk about baby stuff. People are not interested in baby stuff. I think we have a lot of younger people and maybe non-parents. I think it's one of those things where you realize, like, it's like, you know, when you're at work or coworkers or friends and stuff, when you talk about your kids too much, everyone else, they can't relate if they don't have kids or don't have, like, kids in their life. Like, I think a lot of people, unfortunately, don't care about your kids as much as they care about their own kids, if that makes sense. Like, we are obsessed with our kids and our babies, but I feel like we don't want to always be talking about them and all that stuff because other people just, rightfully so, are just not as interested because they don't have that connection. It's not their kid. So I try not be that parent who's like overly talking about them, even though I'd still talk about them a decent amount. What up, Ryzen Dave? Well, what are we talking about? I helped the casual upgrade their ASRock B450M HDV B450 board to a Ryzen 5700X and tried to run 32 gigs RAM 3200. Kept crashing, had to downclock it to 2133 to be stable. Interesting. Isn't there usually other profiles in between? Was it just 3200 and 2133? Was there no like 2933 or 3000 or 2666? Interesting, you have to run it at the base speeds. Gotta make baby-proof merch. Yeah, I don't know if the shop that I use for my merch, if they have onesies or not, but definitely when they grow up big enough, they can get the kid size merch. Built a new PC with the 7900 XT. Congrats. Did you buy that new or used? 7900 XTs. I don't really know what the prices for those are nowadays because they're kind of starting to get harder to get unless you're buying it used, but brand new. I feel like the prices for those, you could get the 9070 or 9070 XT for similar prices. Always with the hoodie. What temps are you guys have there? Even with the AC. I have the hoodie on because it's freezing in the basement. Our house has horrible temperature gradient from the basement to the mid-floor to the upstairs where the nursery is. And we have to set the temperature based on the girls' nursery. So up there, even though we're blasting AC, it's still really warm in their room. Ideal temps are like, I think like 71 degrees ish. Last night it was pushing like 77, even with AC at max, just because it's at the upper level of the house. So yeah, we have to blast the AC. So down here, even in the summer, it's freezing. And I've always been a hoodie wearer, like my entire life. Always with the hoodies. Lewis Cox says, "Hey bro, are you okay if I made you some merch based on your babies?" So I actually, I don't know if Daniel Hulon is in the chat, but one of the other viewers of the channel and people who attend this stream, he's actually making some stuff, onesies for the girls right now. He's working on it. He's making like a team. Actually, no, I'm gonna keep it a surprise. Unless I don't remember if he talked about it in chat before, but someone is making onesies for them that's like PC theme related. So yeah, if you want to, feel free. If you're talking about actually making physical stuff, I have a PO box which is in the description, but please don't feel like the need to at all. Here's like 37 to 39C. What is that? What is that in 102? Oh wow, that's very hot. Yeah, it's not that hot here. Right? Okay, so what's today? If we look at the weather today. So right now it's 72 Fahrenheit. In Celsius it's only 22. So it's like mildly warm today where I live. One of the biggest things for driving home that changed the reality of first-time parenthood is the first time you get another human being's puke. Oh, one of the biggest things for driving home that changed reality of first-time parenthood is the first time you get another human being's puke in your mouth. That has not happened to me yet. I hope it does not happen. I also hope I never get their poop in my mouth somehow. Like if I'm inspecting them and then it just shoots out, that is another fear of mine. But yeah, my daughter is a year and some change and the wife is pregnant currently and I'm 25. Congrats. I could not imagine. I started the channel when I was 25 years old. And at that point in time, I couldn't imagine being a parent. I was living like the bachelor, not bachelor. I started dating my wife at that point already, but kind of like I still had the post-college living in a big house with like 4 different roommates type of like living situation. No way would I have been ready for a kid. Maybe you become a baby content channel now. No. I might incorporate them into some stuff, but no. Still gonna be PCs. What are the twins doing? They're upstairs feeding and probably, hopefully, going down for a nap. And then, if they wake up in a good mood, maybe we can bring them back at the end of stream. Do I know of any cheap OLED monitors? I do not, to be honest. But we can do some research. Because I'm curious. What would the cheapest OLED monitor 8 months ago? Okay, 3 months ago. This is somewhat recent. 1440p OLED, depending on the size. Oh my god, 16-inch OLED screen. What the heck is that? 16-inch? Why is this even a topic of 350 for OLED is delusional? Yeah, so I don't know what your definition of cheap is, but OLEDs are still out of my personal price range. And cheap OLED screens are apparently really bad. Yeah, so I guess I don't know, like I haven't seen physically in front of me the difference between a high quality LCD or LED screen versus a cheap OLED screen, and if it's even worth it to buy cheap ones. Yeah, why is no one talking about the actual price here? It's looking like 400 plus. I don't know how cheap you can actually get them. Ryzen Dave said, took your advice on our budget, getting 360mm cooler for Thursday for my build. Thermalright. Nice. Yeah, Thermalright 360. That's like one of the go-to options. I don't even know what pump they're using. I don't think they're using an Acertech pump. Yeah, this is crazy. You can get, if you, unless you get the LED one for like $80, 360 AIOs for $50 to $60. That's mind blowing. You guys, I guess I don't know how long people have been building PCs for, but do you guys remember when AIOs started to become like a thing that you could kind of buy for your systems? I don't remember. The first AIO I had was not a good purchase. It was a 120 AIO, which we all know how bad 120 AIOs are for. Uh, and I don't know if I. Let me see if I have a receipt for it in my email. But I probably overpaid for it. But to think that now you can get um, a 360 3-fan rad for $50, especially considering inflation and everything, right? If you consider like PC parts from 15 years ago, and how much a 120 AIO is, you would think that over time with inflation the price would have gone up, but the cost of the tech I guess goes down. Let's see, 120 AIO invoice. Let's see if I can find. I think my first ever one was a Corsair too. Oh, did I find it? Order placed. No, dang it. This is just a Corsair power supply. But nice. I think whichever cooler you buy, I think you enjoy it. I wish EVGA would have made an AM5 motherboard before they left the market. I'm now stuck with my 5800 X3D for many years to come. Wait, why? Why would you not upgrade to a different brand's AM5? I don't understand. Why would you only want EVGA? Especially since EVGA motherboards were never known to be like kind of cheap or inexpensive. EVGA motherboards, all the ones I've seen, seem to have been pretty like they weren't the value play. Let's say that. Like compared to the other brands, the EVGA boards for whichever platform it was were always on the more expensive side from what I've seen when they used to still make boards. So. Have you seen the ROG Strix B560G gaming Wi-Fi BIOS chip problem? I had 3 of those motherboards and everyone had a BIOS chip failure. I have not seen that. Let me see. Which board is this? Gaming Wi-Fi. Okay, so this is for 11th gen. Is this a thing? BIOS broken after update, flashback not working. BIOS help. Oh, okay, it seems like there's a lot of posts about this specific board itself with BIOS, huh? No, I didn't build a ton of systems with 10th and 11th gen Intel chips. And if I did, I definitely was not using ROG Strix boards. So that this was not on my radar at all. But apparently this has been a problem. Is $1,300 good for a 7800 X3D and 9060 XT? So for this combination of parts, you're kind of front loading and like future proofing yourself getting an X3D chip. Whether you get a 7800 X3D, unless you're like really playing, I don't know, CS:GO and Valorant and stuff, and trying to push 300-400 FPS. I'm trying to think of what other. I mean, you could get. The only other card up from this one that's kind of affordable would be the RTX 5070, which does perform better than this card. It has less VRAM, but performs better. But yeah, I would say you're definitely investing an extra couple of $100 in the 7800 X3D. so that later on you could upgrade this graphics card without touching anything else. Because yeah, this is definitely, I would say, a little bit too powerful for this. You can save money by just getting like yourself a 7600X, unless you are pushing those games where the X3D CPU bound like situations where you're, you know, trying to get ridiculous frame rates. But I mean, I would say this is about the expected price, because I built a system with the 9060 XT for about 1,000, but I used a good deal that I got on a chip. The 7800 X3D, because those are going for what, like 350 ish, 370. This is about what you would expect to pay. So I think this is pretty standard. What's up, big country? What up, RL? Oh, hello there. Your live feed popped up in the middle of my search for two-way radio stuff. I also enjoy PC tech. Hello, RL. Wait, are you new here, RL? I thought I've seen you in the streams before. But if you're completely new to the channel, welcome, and welcome to the stream. But the name looks somewhat familiar, though I've had hundreds, if not thousands, of names pass through here, so maybe I'm remembering it wrong. Also, RL might not be the most unique combination of letters, like R.L. Stein. But, yeah. What up, Shauner? How's it going? Oh my god. Okay. I need to get caught up on the chat. I'm going way too slow. Staying 207. Was I able to get my 1080 Ti? I have not gotten a 1080 Ti yet. I'm in no rush to get one, so I'm waiting to get like a good price on it. But yeah. When you start seeing numbers you only recognize because of CPU monitoring, as in Celsius, then you know it's hot. As an American, yes. Yeah. How's managing everything, YouTube plus the babies? It is difficult. Maybe if we had one baby, it would be more manageable. Two, my god, it's like impossible. I don't know how we're even making it. My sleep schedule is go to sleep at... I went to sleep this morning at 7 a.m. and I woke up at 1 p.m. That is how messed up my sleep schedule is, because I have the night shift. Do you need any graphics card for any upcoming builds? Because I own the 5090, 5080, 9070 XT Tai Chi. I don't mind sending you. No. I don't want people to send me hardware and stuff like for reviews and stuff. I think it's just too much of a risk. It could be lost or damaged in transit, and then the cost of shipping 2 ways, even for like a graphics card. No, it's not worth it. I think I have plenty of hardware to make content about. But thank you for the offer. I appreciate it. I'm a father of 3, and I have built all 3 of my kids 5800 X3D 3080 Ti systems. Dang, lucky kids. Aorus X570i Pro motherboards. I am the only one with the EVGA X570 dark motherboard. Law, I couldn't spend 500 per motherboard for all of us. My goodness, 400 for a motherboard? I mean, if it's a high enough end system, then that is not relatively as expensive, but that is not how I usually roll when it comes to picking motherboards. Okay, I gotta get caught up on chat. We are new to the channel, just subscribe. Thank you, I appreciate it. We talk PC tech here for the most part. Unfortunately, I don't talk two-way radio or retro tech, but yeah, if you care about PCs at all, we just chill every single week and look at the hardware market, deal hunt, do things like that. Okay, we're caught up on chat. Let's talk about the topic of the stream, because I don't want to clickbait you guys. So what is the PC hardware market looking like right now? At least in the States, because that's all I can really speak for. But if you guys are in other parts of the world, you can let us know in the chat what it's like in your local area. With regards to availability of parts, how close are they to MSRP? And do you feel like if you wanted to build a PC right now, you know, assuming you had the money and things like that, are the prices decent enough that you would do it or could recommend it to somebody. So let's take a quick look at what we are looking at for graphics cards, right? Because I feel like graphics cards have been one of the points of contention for PC hard, like just building DIY and stuff or upgrades for the last few years. And right now, I feel like we are in a decent spot if you're looking at the mid-range. But high-end, I think prices are still a little high, at least a little bit higher than I would like to see. So let's take a look at the 9070 XT and the availability on that, right? So the cheapest one you can get, and remember the 9070 XT MSRP was supposed to be $600. So we look at the market right now, we're seeing the cheapest one you can get is the Power Color Reaper, which is their lowest end model. I think they replaced the Fighter model with the Reaper, and it's going for $720. So from $600, that's a 20% markup on a very, high priced item. So you're paying $120 over the supposed MSRP, which has never really been a thing. Actually, I think these models at Micro Center was actually going for MSRP when they released. They only had like a handful of them, but right now, if you're looking for one, you're gonna have to pay a bit more. Hey, what's up, Jensen? How dare YouTube not send me the notification? I don't know, man. YouTube notifications be weird lately. People always telling me they're not getting notifications for streams as well as videos too. So, yeah, I don't know. YouTube's trying to silence me or something. But, and if we look at the non-XT, which is supposed to be, if we look at the MSRP for that, was supposed to be just $50 less, so it wasn't as popular of a choice. But depending on what the prices, the street prices are, it might actually be more worth it. So these ones are going for more. It's a little bit more reasonable, right? With respect to the MSRP, it's about 9% more. Wait, 9,558. It's like 8 to 9% more than what the MSRP was. And if you look at Tech Power Up, we'll use that as the source. If you look at the performance difference between the 9070 XT and the non-XT, you look at about a 10% difference, right? Let me zoom in here. So 9070 versus 9070 XT. Stop scrolling. Okay, yeah. So about a 10% difference, or 11% if you look at the inversion of it. So price-wise, this coming in at 600 versus that 720, that's a 20% difference. The 9070 is the better buy. And these are in stock too. Like, here's another software. I would probably get the Pulse one. And then you can get a white one. Dude, this one's clean for $620 for a white card that you're usually paying like a $50 to $100, tax on for the white aesthetics. This actually isn't that bad. So in the high end, you're looking at about a 10 to 20% markup, at least on the AMD side of things. I think 5070s are going for pretty much MSRP these days. Yeah, $550. You can get a 5070 brand new for MSRP. It's just like not even hard anymore. So I guess I wouldn't call these high-end cards. These are upper mid-range to mid-range. These are starting to encroach on high-end, and then 5080s. 5080s are going for, oh my goodness, what are these prices? Open box is $1,200, which is kind of bad considering it's supposed to be a $1,000 card and this isn't brand new. The cheapest new one is $1,300 for a 5080. I don't know many people who are rushing to buy that, considering you can pay less than half the price and get a pretty decent 9070 XT, which is not going to be as good in terms of like ray tracing and stuff like that, but still competitively, let's see, 9070 XT versus 5080. Yeah, you're talking about a 20% difference, but for a 100% markup in price. So unless you super need NVIDIA, unless you really need like CUDA, those tensor cores, or just anything AI specific, then you do have options with AMD. Best Buy had the PNY 5080 the other day for $9.99. Yeah, so Best Buy's actually been dropping some pretty good deals on graphics cards. The unfortunate thing though is they're very limited, and it's region specific. So even though, like, if you follow all these like graphics card drop Discord servers, as well as like build the PC sales and the subreddits that track the deals, even if you see something that is available on bestbuy.com, when it might not be available to like be shipped to you or to pick up at your local store. But let's take a look at the RTX 5080 situation right now. So it doesn't look like they have any right now for that crate, like for $1,000, which, oh wait, here we go. Let's see. Oh, wait. Unavailable, pickup, shipping unavailable, unavailable, yeah. So it looks like it might actually be available somewhere, maybe, I don't know. But like for me, like local to me, I wouldn't be able to get this. Let me take a look at that Founders Edition though one, because that would be the one I'm interested in. These are even more rare. But my goodness. How many months out are we? When did these things come out? January. We're like 7 months into this. And how are these still constantly sold out and not available at MSRP? Is the 4070 Super still considered a mid to high end GPU? Yeah, I would say it's upper mid range by this point. A 4070 Super is like a very solid card. Let's take a look at it on Tech Power Up and see what is everything relative to it, right? So it's coming in at the performance of like, you know, 6950 XTs, which were still very good cards, 3080s, which were still solid cards. It still beats out like the 9060 XT by a decent margin, and then you go up to like a 9070 non-XT. It's within like, you know, within 20% of it. If you have it, I would say it's still a good card that you can use for a few years, at least a couple of years to come. But yeah. Hey, no, what are your thoughts on the XTX, XFX 9060 OC White? I think you're talking about this one, right? The Swift version. XFX makes solid cards. I don't know price wise, and if got one for $406 out the door. Okay, so for $406, that's about what out the door. So that's including tax and shipping and stuff. Yeah, that's about how much you should expect to pay. I don't know if you can get a white 9060 XT for that much cheaper. 9060 XT, here's an 8 gig. Let's look at the 16 gigabyte versions. Yeah, so it's about $400, so out the door. Ooh, look at the Spectral Hellhound white one though. I don't know if they're going for any cheaper. That sounds about right. B&H has the 5080 for $1,400. Well, that's not too exciting. That seems like a pretty standard price. They don't use them for mining anymore today, do they? With regards to, I thought I saw an article that GPU mining was back. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see if just by typing it in I can see. GPU mining is back. Time to jump back into GPU mining. Are you ready for GPU mining making a comeback? Okay, so these were a couple months ago. I'm trying to think of where GPU mining is back. Is there no recent articles? I don't know. I've never mined any crypto. I've only like bought and like sold them. And yeah, so I've never personally mined. So I don't follow the whole like scene and what cards are best with it, and if people even still do that, and which coins it's worth it to do it on. But I was under the impression that like at least hardware or GPU mining was kind of dead. So what is Bitcoin mining? How does it actually work in 2025? Get a miner, mining hardware. Are we talking about ASICs here or something else? I don't think they're talking about graphics cards, right? So, okay, there's not a ton of recent articles, so it must have been a one-off thing that I saw. It's not reasonable even with factoring out electricity bill. There has been made a different chip which is faster. Now that Bitcoin is over 100,000, I bet they're rethinking it. All right. We haven't run a poll for a while. So how do I want to ask this? Is Bitcoin's price a bubble? Yes or no? What do you guys think? I don't know what other way I could ask it, but what is the here? We can ask ChatGPT. If it's smart enough. What is the most common way of using Bitcoin right now? And I know they're like with regards to sending money from country to country, especially like war-torn countries and things like that, where there are limitations when you use other traditional payment methods. Like some countries, you can't like trade in and out like with PayPal and Venmo and stuff, right? So what are the biggest use cases of Bitcoin currently? I mean, people might say laundering money and stuff like that, but I'm talking from like a consumer, average, everyday person who's not dealing with shady, sketchy stuff. Like, what is the use cases of Bitcoin? Digital store of value is digital gold, okay? Which that could be, I don't know, that could just be speculation in terms of the value, right? Cross-border remittances, okay. Yep. So I just mentioned that one. Decentralized finance, okay, which I don't think anyone is like against the decentralization aspect of it. Payment system, but okay, like I guess I should re-ask the poll. It was a bubble once, and history just loves to rhyme, if not repeat. I think I've seen Bitcoin being used in online gambling. Yeah, so we're not. When I talk about like what I expect out of like cryptocurrency, if it's going to be like a real thing, like moving forward, like are we going to see a day where we use crypto like we do our current bank accounts, checks, credit cards, cash, right? When I go to the store and buy something, when I make an order online on any like Amazon, Newegg, anything, when I pay people, like maybe being in the U.S., we are super spoiled, and there's not a huge need to use crypto to do that, and we have very, I guess we have other ways of doing it that is like less friction and like has no fees or costs associated with it. But I'm just trying to think like, are we ever at any point in the future, and what year do we project that to be, where we use Bitcoin in the way that we use our credit cards and debit cards now? You can buy silver and gold with it. I don't think the average. I'm trying to see. I'm trying to bring this back to the average person, right? And if we're talking about mass adoption and mass usage for everyday things, I don't think buying silver and gold is what a lot of people do. Nope, because Bitcoin is nothing real. Money has to have a back end regarding to something physical like gold and silver, etc. Doesn't Bitcoin have a scalability issue? Only a limited amount of transactions. I think 7% can be processed. In terms of like the whole ledger and everything, right? As time goes on, isn't it just more expensive to keep on making transactions and doing that kind of stuff? Or has there been like, I don't know, what's it called? Either, I guess, forks or upgrades to it. You can tell how unknowledgeable I am about crypto, right? I only know like very bare surface level stuff because I don't know. Like I just don't see, except for like treating it like a stock and hoping that, you know, you buy in now, it goes up in price and you sell it later. I don't really see myself using any cryptocurrency the way that they remember over the years they've talked about like, oh, this is going to be the money of the future and stuff like that. Dude, aren't we in the future right now? Aside from sending money to other countries and like anonymously doing stuff like that, I guess, do we have any super crypto or Bitcoin bullish people in here? I know you probably get asked this every 10 minutes, but when's the next LAN party? I'm actually editing it right now. I'm yeah, we'll see when it can be released. But I am focusing 100% on it right now. No other video will come out before the LAN party video. Let's just say that. We'll still have the weekly streams and maybe YouTube shorts uploaded. But the next videos released will be LAN party. Whether that be next week or the week after, they are the next thing on the docket. Someone I know has 7 Bitcoins. What are the tax implications on that if they wanted to sell and get out and get $700,000+? How much are they going to be paying in taxes for that? Don't worry, Danny. Uncle Sam and the suits are cooking up a coin to be used as a digital dollar and replace physical currency. Wait, isn't that what Trump coin is? Or Melania coin? I'm kidding. I know that's not what it is. They will start tax sending money. I mean, maybe it's because when I did it, I was lazy. I didn't want to have like my own wallet or anything. I bought and sold on Coinbase. And yeah, that sending and receiving and stuff was kind of annoying and kind of expensive, the fees associated with it. But it's been years since I've touched anything crypto. A lot of taxes, capital gains, yeah. So that's the kind of sucky thing about it. I'm sure there's some loophole ways to get your money out, but yeah. How did we get off track to talk about crypto? I think someone asked if these graphics cards that we were looking at are good for mining still. Sorry, we went on a tangent there, but we have a pretty even split of people thinking it's a bubble and not a bubble. So we'll have to see. It's still valuable because it's the only limited asset. Even diamonds can be made artificially, yet natural ones hold value. That's a bubble. Tangents on this channel? Never. That's all we do. I mean, I should be the one saying I digress often. And that's a Jay thing. How often does Jay digress? Do I need to digress more than him? Dude, Melissa is strong. She's a strong, independent woman, okay? I'm not ashamed to have her protect me. Anyone use a game controller at the LAN parties? I think most of us do for the driving games. We do have some weirdos in the LAN crew that drive on mouse and keyboard. Like, we're playing Grand Theft Auto, or what other games do we have that are, like, good with controller? But they're straight up driving with WASD and mouse. Is weird. That's weird, man. But yeah, no, I use actually my controller's upstairs, but I use actually I have one right here. I've somehow collected multiple Xbox controllers over the years, but I am a Xbox controller type of person. I dislike PlayStation controllers. And in terms of like the other brands and stuff, I know. So the whole Hall effect thing is, I think just pretty much everyone who's serious about like gaming on a controller, they get Hall effect controllers, which I don't believe any of the base Xbox controllers are. But I might have to look into that but I don't game on the controller too often. It's mostly at LAN parties and sometimes when I'm gaming at home. Like when I was playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I was using controller because it's just much better on it. But yeah, I'm not like super well versed into like all the different joysticks and quick triggers and like stuff. Driving was WASD. I either use my controller or my racing sim setup. You wouldn't use a racing sim setup for Grand Theft Auto third person driving. That would be a little odd. Yes, and controllers or joysticks for fighting games. I knew a guy that plays Rocket League with mouse and keyboard. That's who. Somebody in our LAN group plays Rocket League with mouse and keyboard. I think it might be. Yeah, I think it's Brunzel. That's weird behavior. Techman Ty says, Danny, or Neural Budget, NVIDIA cards are restrained because AI is consuming them, and you can make money on mining through AI platforms. Only the higher end cards, right? Because it looks like the 5070 and the 5070 Ti's are still, you can get those at MS. Let me see the Ti. Let's get back on track here. We're talking about the state of the market right now. The 5070 Ti, I think it's pretty good value. And if we're looking here, I guess the cheapest one new on Newegg is 800. The MSRP for 750. But again, they've been popping up on Best Buy. You kind of have to be quick because I think they still go pretty fast. But at least it's way better than 6 months ago or even 4 years ago during the shortages. Let's see. Let's look at ARC B580 prices because I think these are pretty, at least in the US, stabilized now. Yes, here it is. I mean, you can't get the limited edition one, but wait, what? You guys see what just happened there? So I'm looking at B580s, as you can see by the search up here. I just sorted by lowest price, and we go down. I just saw a card for like 250, 260, but it's not showing right here. I don't have any filters on the left, right? I just have the search sorted by lowest price. Newegg doing this stupid stuff again. There should be a card, that Onyx card around here. But if I go back, now I see it here for 260. So why did it disappear as soon as I sorted by price and it hid this price for me? Anyways, yeah, you can get this one's free shipping, this one's not free shipping. What else is there? So you can get them within 10% of MSRP. So with regards to the entry level market, it's looking pretty good, right? Sub $300 card. ARC B580 is pretty much the go-to if you're looking for brand new. If you're looking for used, you can get like a 3070 or a 6700 XT. But we're looking at the state of the new market right now. And if we take a look at 9060 XTs, I mean, those have been pretty close to MSRP since they've released. Let's see. 300 for 8 gigs. So you can get a 16 gig version for just $20 over MSRP. Or you can get a white one right here for just $10 more push after the shipping. But yeah, I would say that's not, like, that's pretty good. Is Intel still updating drivers? I believe so. Let's take a look at the newest Intel B5. I don't update drivers often. I don't, like, as soon as drivers come out, I don't go rush to install them. Not Ubuntu. Wait, what? The one weird thing I would say still, though, is Intel's, like software to manage, like, your ARC card and, like, going to get drivers from them. It still, to me, doesn't feel super natural. Like, I'm trying to find the drivers right now. Downloads. Okay. All. Okay. Like, how... Here, let me spell it correctly and you see that thing. With AMD or NVIDIA, if you needed to just look for drivers, like I'll do it right now, right? Like AMD, if I want to look at 9070 drivers, I can even spell it wrong. Boom, you click on this, you're here. 9070 drivers, you can pick your OS and you're good to go. Intel, okay, Intel B580 drivers, I click here. Am I missing something? This is not what I ran into previously. Why is it not giving me Windows drivers? Quite literally, like this is the first link. Do I need to take Arc out of it? Like, it's stuff like this that it's not a huge deal, but it is kind of annoying. I'm just trying to find like what the latest driver is. And on Intel's official website for the official product page. No, this isn't correct. They have had updates. What is going on with Intel's website right now? Intel Graphics Solutions. Arc Graphics. Like, my goodness. Guys, it should not be this hard to find the drivers for this. Arc for desktop. Okay, my God. Is their website actually broken right now? Intel Arc drivers. Okay. Oh my God. What am I? So, game on GPU drivers. Okay. Okay. Here we go. See? What's the date on this? Do they even have it? You guys. I guess you can look at the release notes, but it's just like, okay, here. We found it. My God. Why did I have to go that roundabout way? But we found it. So yeah, for the person who asked, are they still updating drivers? They just had a driver update not even a week ago, August 8th, right? So it's right here. You can get it. Yeah, Windows, all that. So they do the cards. I'm using a B580 right now. I use it for gaming. I use it for content creation. It works fine. The price is good. It works fine. It's just other things like what we just saw going to their website trying to find drivers. The software, I think, definitely is worst. Like if you were to rank NVIDIA, what's it, the NVIDIA app? Didn't they change the name of it from GeForce Experience to whatever the heck it's called now? The NVIDIA app and Adrenaline from AMD. Intel's is like far behind in terms of going into there and changing any of the settings that you might want to for your graphics card. The Intel, just the whole UI it's not as good, but the base card itself, the performance and the price is good. So yeah. Yeah, they do update it pretty regularly. Like, let me see what version I'm on, if I could pull it up real quick without it being a huge hassle. So I am on... Oh, see, I'm on a June driver. I will show you guys right now. Yeah, and I feel like unless you're playing like the newest game that you need game ready drivers for, you don't really need to update it every single time. But yeah, so here's my B580's driver version. So it still works fine. You don't have to get the latest drivers unless you're playing some specific game that is performing really badly because of, you know, weird driver interactions. You don't need like the day one game ready drivers. No out of date. 2 months is not bad. I think people overestimate like things like BIOS updating, like your motherboard and your graphics card drivers and stuff like that. If it works, it works. Now, if I'm going to make a video or like a brand new build using this card, then yeah, I'm going to use the latest driver versions. But for my own personal uses, if it ain't broke, don't touch it, right? Sometimes, yes, this is correct, which is why I kind of just leave it be unless, you know, something goes wrong. Sometimes updating drivers can decrease performance and stability. I think NVIDIA is kind of on the hook for that right now. People have been complaining about the newest, like, I don't know if it's just the newest ones or just all the newest NVIDIA cards are having like kind of weird performance issues with their latest drivers. And I think for some people rolling back did improve performance. So there's that. Yes, I agree with you. I normally upgrade it through the Intel app, but just to look at the date of the driver, and for anybody who's buying the card and for the first time installing drivers, they're gonna have to go to the website to get it. And that was just a horrible experience on Intel's website. Like, what the heck was that I had to just go through? Talking about jumping through hoops. Is the 6800 XT still a good card? I believe it is a great card still, considering it's pretty much a 7800 XT, minus being a one gen old with regards to like the ray tracing performance as well as I don't. Is there any FSR differences that is cut off between the 6800 XT and 7800 XT? Off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but I think prices for the 6800 XT is still kind of. I think they're like still $400, unless you can find a one in your local market for like better. Oh, maybe not. It looks like 340 has problems, no video output. This one seems okay. So about 350. So the prices thankfully has gone down. These were holding at 400 for so long. Oh, wait, parts only. This is a refurbished excellent Dell version. The prices go up pretty fast, but it looks like you can get one for you can get one for around the same price of a 9060 XT. These technically perform better, but what would you guys choose? Right? Let me take a look at the tech power up. 6800 XT. If you're gonna compare a 9060 XT to it, 16 gig, you're within almost 10% shot. You're about 12% difference. But you gotta consider FSR4 and being new with warranty. For the same price, like what do you buy? I lean towards the 9060 XT 16 gig. Like, it's not all about just the raw performance. Like, you're talking about a card that's how many years old now? Like 5? 6080 XT release date. So it's got some usage on it. Yeah, November 2020. It's coming up on 5 years. I don't know if buying that would be the wisest decision, considering I think enough games now are supporting FSR and FSR4 that you could reap the benefits of being on a 2-gen newer card. So Mirage Production says 9060 XT and FSR4 balance is actually pretty darn good even at 4K. Okay, so do we have any like upscaling haters in the chat? Are any of you guys like, pure native resolution purists? What is everyone's general opinion on upscaling, whether it be DLSS or FSR right now? Like, do you guys use it? Do you guys think it like is beneficial? Do you guys use it, or do you guys think it like makes it look like crap and you just go for native? I use it. I have to use it because I play on a 1440p ultra wide monitor with a B580. That card is pretty underpowered for the resolution I play at. So yeah, I definitely make use of FSR or XESS, when it's there in the game. Which the games that I do play do have that support. So yeah, for me, only native always. Wait, Pedro, what hardware are you running? Because I think it depends, right? If you're running like a 5080, 5090 or something, or I guess if you're running 1440p on like an older or upper mid-tier card, you can still run native. But like, I don't know. I'm not a huge pixel peeper, so like the perceived smoothness that you gain from the increase in FPS, to me that's more important because I'm not ever just like looking at the scenery statically, right? I'm like playing the game where there's movement and stuff like that, where I think it's less noticeable when you're focusing on like the objective of whatever you're doing instead of like admiring the environment around you. DLS is for suckers. DLS works. I use FSR in the latest Battlefield 6 beta, and even FSR 3 there is working great. It depends on the title. I only use DLA, no upscaling ever. DLSS tends to be a little bit better. Native does look better though. Not me. If it works, turn it on. Useful if needed. Native resolution. So we've got a mixed bag in the chat, right? Where the heck is all the... What up, viewers? Okay, sorry. I just looked at... I took a look at the stream numbers. We have like double the amount of people compared to last week's stream. So I don't know what's going on with that. YouTube not pushing notifications to the subscribers, but pushing it to other people. But what up, everybody in chat, if you're new here. We're just talking about upscaling right now and what people do. That kind of makes NVIDIA cards superior to AMD cards. I mean, I think the general incentive that I've seen from people is that they like DLSS, or they think it's like objectively better. But FSR is not so far behind, and AMD cards, price-wise and availability-wise, just makes it, you know, worth going for. Like, DLSS is not that much better that it's worth paying that extra premium sometimes for people, or the headache of trying to get a card for a decent price, especially the higher-end cards. Like, some people are like, screw it, we go FSR 9070 XT, and we call that a day. NVIDIA software is still superior. I'm curious to hear in what way. In terms of, I think they're superior in terms of the like features they have for streamers and things like that. But in terms of Adrenaline software, if we're talking about the ability to let it, you like, I don't know, turn on overlays, do the overclocking within the suite itself. In terms of that, I think the user experience for both NVIDIA's app versus Adrenaline, I touch those all the time. Anytime I'm doing, you know, graphics card benchmarks or builds and stuff, like I install those, I go through and I like tune the settings. So I feel like to me the experience is pretty much the same. So if you mean that with regards to software, then I don't see that. But in terms of like RTX voice, the ability to clip out, if you have like a webcam, to clip out the background, the AI of it, like NVIDIA, yes, is like years ahead. Oh, and then you're talking about like compatibility wise, I don't know if the compatibility wise thing I've personally experienced or a lot of people online have experienced. But yeah, ray tracing, path tracing, yes, I do agree with you there. Yeah. They are well ahead of AMD. Pedro says, since I play... So you also play on an ultra-wide monitor. Yeah, you're on the same resolution as me. On a 7900 XT, I can get native in most games with 100 FPS plus. But wouldn't you rather have... What's the refresh rate of your monitor? Is it like 144, 165, 180, one of those numbers? Wouldn't you rather have that much FPS for a little bit of image, you know, quality decrease, I guess? Like, you can still run FSR quality. AMD actually gained a bit of market share. Oh yeah, that's actually a good point. Steam hardware survey says... We haven't looked at Steam hardware survey for a while. Let's take a look. Look at the... So processor-wise, isn't it crazy how... Let me zoom in on this so y'all can see better. For as much as you see online, everyone harping on Intel being crappy, you're still at almost a 60-40 split. And the main reason for that, we've talked about this before, is because a lot of people are gaming on not modern hardware. Like we're talking, you know, office PCs, things like that. And chips from when Intel was more dominant. So a lot of people are still gaming on that. Let's take a look actually. If we go to more info, the highest, yeah, look at this. So we look at the split in July, even though by every single month it is decreasing. So AMD, which makes sense, right? More people who are buying new PCs seemingly are buying AMD chips. So it is slowly declining and increasing. But if we look at like the top 3 numbers, right? The Intel CPU speeds, that this makes up, what is it, for 45% about. Almost, here, if we take a look at this, half of the Intel CPUs are running 2.3 to 3.29 gigahertz. So they're running on older and lower end. Do they have any other specs that breaks it down? Yeah, they're not gonna break it down by generation, but I'm just trying to take a look at, like to try to get a ballpark of like what CPUs are being used. Wait. They don't have any. These are like the base clock speeds, not overclocked. So I guess some of like the 3.3 to 3.69 could include modern chips, but the highest one are definitely lower performing older stuff. They're gaming on them because Intel makes CPUs that last. AMD CPUs last. There are people who are still running first gen, second, third gen Ryzen, which by this point, like, when did the Ryzen 3600 come out? That was like 2019, but I still know of some people. One of my buddies actually is still running a Ryzen 1600, right, from 8 years ago. I would say the Ryzen chips have lasted, but yeah, anyone on like an FX chip, which is like the decade old stuff, yeah, those, I mean, they're still usable, but it's kind of a struggle. But we look at the graphics card side of things, which is what we were supposed to look at until I got super distracted. We are looking at the market share. AMD is, yo, 6600. Is there any current gen? Probably not. It's too new. Here's the 7900 XTX at 0.5%. But yeah, it's still mostly Nvidia. But are the numbers dropping? Wait. 12. DirectX 12, 5% share. All video cards. Can they just... I wish they just showed... I guess you can hold this on here. So Nvidia, they had a... When was the spike? 83.1%? Why can't I look at what the date on this was? 74.4, 74.2, 74.1, 73.9. So it is slowly going down, but you would have thought, by the way that people praised the 9070 XT, 9070, 9060 XT, that within the last few months there would have been a higher shift in like a couple of points. Were AMD CPUs not a thing 10 years ago? They were. They were just kind of notoriously bad. This is a good point, Extreme Zone. Thanks for bringing this up. You could use the Amazon bestseller list, which that would be the American market. CPUs. Let me see. CPU processor. Where the heck? Not the top brands. How do I sort by bestsellers? Screw it. We just Google it. Here we go. The bestsellers on Amazon. The top 8 spots. Ryzen processors. And then we got the Ultra 265 in number 9. And then the 12700KF. My goodness, 175? That's not bad. On a kind of a dead platform though, or socket. Limited upgrade socket. But see, this again, I think it is a good source of information, but best stuff selling now and within the last 1 or 2 months is not representative of existing PC gamers, for the last year and a half, right? Which is what these charts show, because for everyone who is buying a new PC and stuff, there's like 10, if not hundreds of people who already own existing systems. And if you consider, because Steam hardware survey, I don't believe is regional, right? I think this is worldwide. You talk about people in third world countries. Yeah, they're using like, like really old hardware that is likely going to be Intel. Pretty sure my CPU was an AMD in like 2004 on an HT Pavilion pre-built. Oh, wait, Steam hardware survey. If you guys ever want to like just, look things up, Internet Time Machine, Internet Archive Wayback Machine, and then Steam hardware survey. And I use this data in my videos like all the time. When I do revisits. Doing this, let's see how far back we can go. So, wait. I could have sworn there used to be data from like, Steam hardware survey. Let me check this out. Here we go. There should be data back to like pre-2010. Yes! So there's no data to 2004. But let's take a look at a snapshot. In 2008. What the Steam hardware survey was looking like. Come on, link work, please. When's the next LAN party stories dropping? Hopefully next week. Next weekend. Like next Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Hopefully. I'm working on it right now. As we speak. Oh man, look at this. Blast from the past. Okay, so here's Steam hardware survey in 2008. December. End of the year. Let's look at the market share. ATI versus today. AMD has done a good job. Today they're about a 40-60 split. Back then it was about a 65-30 and then other. Intel, interestingly enough, I'm guessing that's going to be mostly integrated. Them 08 graphs be looking ancient. Yeah. DirectX 10. Oh, look. Windows Vista and 7. What year? Let me look this up real quick. When year did April 2003? Oh, 2003. 20 years ago. Can we find it? Can we find it? Is there an image of it? Steam hardware survey. Whoa. Monitor resolutions over time. So there, you guys have seen these channels that shows the graph. How did they get data from 2004? Oh my god, this music. Please. What year is this? You guys know this song? Oh wait, that's not the song I was thinking about, but how do you access the 2004 data? I'm always so curious how these videos are made. These are pretty like cool to watch. But let me go to the future and see what happens to cards as they disappear. Okay. Oh, they just go up. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Let's look at the rise. Okay, so now we're in 2019. Here's NVIDIA. Dominating. And pretty much still dominates. And it still dominates all the way up until 2024. But yeah, take a look at this. Let's look at the CPUs. 66-33 split. 6633 versus almost 6040. It doesn't seem like they made that much ground in what, 17 years, does it? System RAM, 2 gigs or above, more than half the people had. Windows version, even when Vista, let's see, here's Vista 2000, XP 64-bit. Look at, I forgot this was a thing. When people were using 32-bit Windows, I mean, look at this, not even 1%. Windows Vista 64-bit was way higher than XP 64. That's interesting. I'm curious why. Let's see what else. Any other interesting information from the past? VRAM on graphics cards. Okay, this is a fun one to look at. The most popular configuration in 2008 was 512 megabyte. Second most would be half of that at 256, and then 1 gigabyte was only at 3%. Look at the RX 580 holding its own. Wait, where was it? It was back here. Yeah, kind of all by its lonesome self, minus maybe some integrated or unclassified card. No, it's slipping. No, and it's oh no, it's making its way back up. And oh, there it is again. It refuses. Actually, it kind of did fall off the chart eventually, but it refused to die for a long time. Oh my god, we're already an hour and a half into stream. Okay, so I guess to wrap up the main topic of the stream that I wanted to look at the pricing of things, kind of like, you know, recalibrate what the market looks like. And in my opinion, I think it is a pretty good time right now to build a gaming PC. I think we are kind of at a good point, considering the last, let's just say, even say couple of years, right? Some components are a little bit more expensive, like memory prices and SSDs kind of went up a little bit, but what's 10 or 20 bucks up in those and like power supplies and stuff when graphics cards are readily available at close to MSRP compared to the last few years? Let's see. You better, heck yeah it is, you better get it while you can, especially since let's see, chip tariffs. There's been a lot of news in the last week, or even more actually, last couple of weeks, with Trump. Okay, in the time of tariffs, NVIDIA and AMD cut unusual deals with Trump. Big tech is paying its way out of Trump tariff. Earlier this month, this is only 13 hours ago, Trump announced plans to impose 100% tariffs on imports semiconductors, but okay, Reuters, let's look at this one. TSMC seen as likely to be exempt due to having U.S. factories. I thought where was I reading there's going to be potentially 15%. So not 100% increase, but I thought there was going to be like a 15% increase. Where was that in the news? I thought they were expecting chips, or was that going to be, once they're manufactured in the U.S., they'll likely cost about 15 to 20% more. Tariff range between, okay, I mean, there were tariff scares back in like what, March and April, and now we're in the summer and it didn't get that bad. So whether or not you want to build now due to speculation on what prices could be in the next till the end of the year, I would say if you need to build now, just build it. But I don't know if I would necessarily think there's like a huge scare for prices to all increase. Leave the Tango orange guy alone. Wait, Tango? Tango orange guy? I understand the orange guy reference, but it's the Tango part of it. I heard Trump wasn't well. I can't tell if this is trolling or not. It wouldn't surprise me if he wasn't well, right? Have you seen the guy? He doesn't look like the healthiest person. He looks like he struggles when he walks. He's old, so that's not surprising. Oh, the tan god. The tan... Wait, you're talking about his orange tan, right? Electronics are always excluded from tariff. That's why NVIDIA stock almost doubled. AMD and NVIDIA being charged 50% for export licenses. Good news is we've already got enough crap here to last us the next few years as long as we aren't worried about the newest technology. But it could put some business out of commission. And I was just interested in looking at PC parts I can't afford anyway. I will fly out of the country to get a GPU before I pay US price. What are you talking about? US prices are good. We just looked at them. And the used market is pretty good too. Where are you getting better GPU prices than in the US? The orange Tango. Okay, what is this? Let me take a look at this. Oh. Okay, it's a band average. Let me see this.
Hello, Sony. I think we might use a video replay here. Let's do that. Oh, yes, we could be in for a quintessential sensation here.
I've never seen this before. This is such an obscure reference. I've never seen that before. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Airfare is up and air safety is down. Why fly? That's a good point. I think both those statements are true. Even though I think flying, even with air safety being down, is still technically safer than driving. There was a story about his hands and feet. Okay, we're not about to go talk about Trump's hands and feet. That is too off topic. Okay, so we have some time to chill. I actually wanted to take a look at some people's setups that they posted in the last week or so. So, Scott G, who's in the chat. Scott posted. Okay, here's my setup. Not quite finished. All right, so let's take a look. Let's take a look at this. Okay, we've got the NZXT. This is the H7 Flow, the newest one. I built in this case, the white one. Do you like this case? Wait, did we talk about this? Wait, who did we talk about this last week? We talked to someone else with the NZXT case, didn't we? I know it wasn't you. It was a white build, I think. But Scott, because you own this case, do you also find it annoying that you can't easily get your fingers underneath when you need to pick it up, except for on this side? Like, I will never look at the modern NZXT cases the same again. Regardless of how good their airflow is and how like aesthetically nice it looks at, I feel like they ruined the feet. I will always point that out and make it known that I am annoyed at that change they made to this case. But your build otherwise, looking pretty clean. So let's look at the specs. We're looking at a H7 Flow 2024 B550 Taichi 5800 XT CPU, Thermalright Aqua Elite 360, 32 gigs of Trident Z RAM. You've got an B570 Nitro from Acer. Some Creative Labs Pebble Pro speakers, SteelSeries Apex 5 keyboard, SteelSeries Rival 3 wired mouse, Seasonic Focus, 750 watt power supply. The Aqua Elite again. Wait, you only have one, right? I think you just listed it twice. Yeah. And then 6 intake fans at a low RPM, 4 exhaust also at low, AIO at 1600, 65%. Okay. Pretty clean looking build. Got your white controller there as well. Is that standard Xbox controller? Looks like it. Actually maybe not. Isn't there like a center button usually? But yeah, clean build. What is this on top? There's a cable sticking up here with what looks to be a Velcro tie. How does fresh air get into those bottom fans if there's not space? There is space. There you can. It's hard to see, but 8.7 flow. So there is space below. That's not the problem though. I don't. Yeah. So there's a gap. See. Oh my god, you guys can't see because I'm hiding. Yeah. So there. This is what it looks like in white. It's easier to see. So there is a gap on one side, but it makes it so annoying to pick up. Like you don't need. You could have put a gap here, and a gap on the backside. Yeah, you have to like to pick it up. What you essentially have to do is lean it on its side almost, or slide it off the table so that the edge hangs off, and then you pick it up from the bottom, or you have to like kind of tilt it, get your finger under, then tilt it. Get the annoying thing is though when you have the PC in your hands and you need to put it down because there's no gap, it kind of like crushes your fingers a little bit. I mean, you can like finagle it. I don't know. NZXT, why you do this, man? I still, when I do my build or review of the H3 that they released recently, that's going to be a huge complaint of mine. Like, but pretty, I'm surprised. I feel like the H7 is a pretty like, how much is this thing? I thought it was kind of expensive. Oh, no, never mind. It's only 130. I was thinking it was a little bit more than that. Okay. But yeah, solid looking build, setup space. Someone said make room for the mouse. That mouse looks a bit cramped though. Maybe Scott plays at super high DPI and only needs to like flick the wrists. You want to talk about, okay, you want to talk about cramped mouse room? This is my current mouse room right now. It's not good. So there's you guys, say hello. But this is the room I have for my mouse because I have so much crap going on the table. But I'm not gaming right now. I guess when I game, I just like move everything out of the way to make more space. But I have somewhat... Uh-oh. Why is this wireless... Why is it freezing so much? But yeah, I have pretty limited mousing space as well. Oh, no, I have a mouse pad. It's a desk mat, I guess. Let me see if I can show it on... Huzzah! With this camera. See... There's a... I guess you couldn't see it because the lighting wasn't that good. It's like a wide desk mat. That is my mousing surface. What do you think about the Amontech XR case? Give me 1 second to look at this other setup that was submitted within the last week. And then we could take a... You want to look at the Amontech XR? Okay. This one was posted by Psychosemantic9. Psychosam. Fix my setup a bit. Okay, I think... Did they submit previously? But let's take a look at this. Oh, no. That's not how... Stop. How do I open this in a new tab? Open in new tab? Can I not do this with videos? I can only do it with Does this work? Oh my god. I just... it's not going to let me see it in full screen, is it? It's going to be weird for you guys because I'm on an ultra wide. Psycho Sam, I don't know if you're... I don't think you're in the chat right now. I don't think I saw you in chat. But you gotta fix... You cannot have a height Y60 or Y70 case with all this and have loose hanging RGB. Can I zoom in to make this bigger? Maybe a little bit. But yeah, the you gotta fix those RGB strips a little bit more so they're not just loosely hanging. You know, they should be pulled taut. They shouldn't have any give in them. That's like, this case is the embodiment of aesthetics, right? Like, for how much it costs and with the LCD screen and stuff, I think the rest of it looks fine. Here, let me see if I can play it in this. Okay, here we go. This should be better. Okay. So, there's the Blue Yeti, got the monitors and everything, got the hockey or Jason red mask. But when we come to the build, yeah, I don't know. I kind of don't like... What do you guys think? My personal preference is no RGB strips in the build unless it's out of sight and it's like, you know, illuminating from a hidden place, right? Like, when you can see the RGB strips and see the individual LEDs, I just don't like the look of that. But like, if you took those and you hid them like up here, projecting downwards or towards the motherboard, where the light gets dispersed more evenly, I personally like that look better. Or you can just get RGB components like RAM and fans and stuff so that you don't need strips. But I've just, over the years, I don't think I've ever intentionally put RGB strips into a case. The closest thing is that I've received PC builds that had RGB strips, so then I reused it or left them in there. But I don't think I've ever personally bought an RGB strip to put into a case, just because of how it ends up looking. So, visible LED lights are too harsh. They need to be diffused, which you do that by facing them away from the person who's looking at it, or putting them in like behind frosted glass or something like that. But I mean, build wise, I don't know what the specs of this build are though. I mean, we can kind of assume. Actually, maybe not. Yeah, the screen doesn't say either. There's no hardware info on the screen either. But that would be my critique of this. Assuming they posted for a critique. But, okay. Such a nice case ruined by the strips. I mean, it could be easily removed, but yeah, not a fan of the strips. Okay, we're looking at the Montech XR. Somebody wanted to look at that. Montech XR case. Ooh, $74. I mean, I like that price already. Let me pull that up on Amazon. First, Montech XR. So pretty standard aquarium style case with side intake, mid tower, 3 included fans, and it looks like these are reverse. Are these reverse blade? 1 regular and then 2 reverse. Yep. So these are 2 intakes, 1 exhaust. We've got some ventilation for pulling in fresh air for the graphics card, and then front I/O for $75 or 70 even, right? I think it's kind of hard. This is pretty good value. Let me think. So if you wanted an AIO, you would be fine in the intakes. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with this case. The only, if I had a critique for it, right, and I'm even guilty of using these style of cases, is there's nothing super unique about this case. It does have all good features, in my opinion. I don't know about the cable management space, but I would imagine Montech is pretty good about that stuff, right? Let me see. The only thing I would say is like, if you want a generic budget case, this is what every company is releasing a version of, right? We're talking front and side glass panel, side intake, sometimes not side intake, but this aquarium type look, glass to glass corner. This is like a dime a dozen right now. I could probably find, without even looking that hard, let's test that actually. Let's go to Amazon, PC case, glass, front, side. Okay, boom, here's an Aqua 7, which is a very similar style. Got the side intake, got the glass to glass. We've got the H9 Flow. Oh, although these aren't budget ones, but I'm just saying, like, this is the play right now. Here's the Aqua 3, which is a micro ATX version, but still similar design, right? Here's the Antec 5. This one's a little different because you do get this is dual chamber, it looks like, so there's no PSU shroud at the bottom. But we're talking about that glass to glass corner. Yeah, I mean, there's no shortage. Thermaltake View 380. There's no, why is that a dead link? Interesting. There's no shortage of these, I guess, panoramic fish tank glasses case. The Montech one is nice because it does come with the fans. It comes in at a $70 price point, so you don't have to spend extra money on fans. And it just works. There's nothing wrong about it. It's just pretty cookie cutter. But cookie cutter in a good way, I guess. I'm kind of a big fan of Montech. They have some good cheap cases. Yeah, Montech definitely, ever since they've kind of come onto the scene, at least in the Western market, I believe they were around for longer than when they got super popular or started to get popular, at least in the US. But yeah, I like their cases. If you're going to go cheap, that's a good option. And to be honest, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with putting super expensive hardware in a cheap case. Like, objectively, let's say you want to do a $2,000 build and you want to maximize the internal components. Like, what is wrong with throwing $2,000 worth of components? So long as they fit, right? Assume you got like a 5080 Founders Edition, and then, like, you know, that's pretty much the only thing that matters in terms of size, because CPU and cooler wise, this can fit pretty much, it looks like everything. Maybe not a 420, but at least a 360 or a big fat air cooler. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with throwing $2,000 worth of PC parts into a $70 case. I've been known to do that on the channel, actually. A case's function is to hold all the components, give you a power button, give you front I/O, and have adequate or sufficient cooling and protect your parts from anything flying at it, I guess. I don't, like, I'm trying to think before I tell a lie. I don't think I've ever spent money on like a $300+ case. Now I'm trying to think, have I spent money on a $200+ case? For me, my threshold of spending on cases is like, to me, $150 on a PC case is a lot of money already. That's like the highest I think I'm willing to go. And it better be a pretty unique special case. Otherwise, I'm floating in like $80 to $120 land for PC cases for the most part. But again, putting a ton of like high-end components into a case like this, I see nothing wrong with. And it's a good way to save money to spend on more important things like more storage. Maybe a bump up to, like, I don't know, the next CPU or GPU. Things like that. My builds in there, nothing great to look at, but temps have been good. Okay. Talk about in this case or the other one. I almost had that case, but went height 40 white and black mix. It's a nice little case. The Y40, which is like the more standard offering from height. That's what was. I mean, the height Y40 is a pretty solid case. There's nothing. Oh wait, I lie. Okay. I know what my... Can you guys guess what my biggest gripe is with height? Just height cases in general, but even the Y40, which is a little bit more affordable. Try to guess what my biggest gripe is with the Y60, the Y40, the Y70. Here's a picture of it. Price aside, I feel like the Y40, like what justifies this being a $130 case when there's so many standard box cases out there? Exactly. This is the reason. The fact that it does not have support for traditional horizontal graphics card mounting. There are plenty of cases that give you the choice. There are plenty of cases that design the back, I guess, the bracket in the back so that you could do either or. Height, for some reason, thought, you know what? We only want you to vertically mount your graphics card, which is kind of annoying for multiple reasons. The first one is you're putting another point of failure into it, right? You just have another unnecessary part that separates it from a direct connection of your graphics card to your motherboard. So, you've heard it in the past, like PCI riser cables are a point of failure or a point of issue depending on the PCIe revision it is. It could cause problems. It's not guaranteed to, because obviously these cases sell just fine. It's a pretty small percentage, but it is just another point of failure, another part. And upgrading is annoying. I have built in too many height cases than I want to admit because I build for my brother-in-law who for some reason loves these cases. And every single time when we've had to do changes to the, like swapping out, what's it called? SSDs, right? M.2 SSDs. The graphics card covers it and you have to completely take it out. Whereas when you add in SSDs to normal computers, you can usually just slot them in without taking apart the graphics or taking out the graphics card and things like that. So it just like blocks, it blocks the headers on the bottom of your motherboard. It blocks the M.2 slots. It's just, and I don't know, man. This is me. I know cherry picking and nitpicking and stuff like that, but this is one of my pet peeves, I guess. Hey, what's up, Blind Tech? It's been a while since you've been here, but flip, yeah, make that money, make that content, Blind Tech. The H's are annoying to me too, lol. Yeah, I'm just, maybe if they were a lot cheaper, but I feel like the height cases are just kind of expensive for what they are. I will admit that, like, if you talk about, like, the gauge of metal used, panel thickness, and tolerances and stuff like that, the height cases, they do, like, you can tell kind of the difference between that and, like, a budget $60 or $70 case, but that's not, like, a huge deal to me. What are you doing with your computers that you really need it to, like, be as strong as, military grade or something like that, right? It sits on your desk for the most part. And you might transport it to a LAN party or two, which cheap cases do just fine. But yeah. GPU's in the way of my second M.2 and I have bare paws law. It's annoying, but now done, I don't plan to remove much. Yeah, these complaints that I'm talking about, obviously they're like very nitpicky because most people aren't constantly switching out or upgrading their things. So for how little you do that in the life of your computer, removing the graphics card isn't that big of a deal. But it's just like, to me, it's just weird design. Why not give people more options? Why lock them in? Especially with one of the biggest problems with these high cases is when people use like 2.5 to 3 slot thick cards. the guards are like sitting pretty close up against the glass with restricted airflow. And then now you got people spending extra money buying 3D printed panels with like, or custom cut acrylic panels with like airflow for them. Like, bro, why are we spending like $200 on a height Y70 to then have to replace the glass panel with an acrylic one for like 70 or 80 bucks because it's custom cut just to get airflow for a graphics card because they forced you to run a vertical mounted card. Sorry, this is me complaining about what I consider to be a super overhyped case. But yeah, I would say NZXT cases are pretty solid too. Yeah, it's because NZXT cases aren't super cheap as well. Like NZXT cases are like in the upwards of $90+. We're talking about like the $60 to $70 cases. That's where when you like hold the panel, it's kind of flimsy. Do I have one as an example that I can show? Let me see. Let me see if this panel works as an example to my talking point. This is also, maybe it's not the best example because, oh wait, nope, I taped it. I don't have a panel that I could just pull to show an example. But you know what I'm talking about. Y'all have used cheap cases before, right? NZXT is reasonably priced and extremely well made. I'm curious what the overall... It never seemed like anyone in the stream particularly got super pissed off at NZXT for the controversy of their PC rental service. But I'm curious what the whole public perception of NZXT is now. Like, when was that? See, NZXT... When was that? Gamers Nexus NZXT rental. So that was... Oh my gosh. That was November 2024. It's already been 9 months since that whole controversy. Where has the time gone? You think NZXT has pretty much recovered and like people have forgotten about it by now? I'm very curious. I haven't really made an NZXT video, I don't think, since this controversy happened, or like using NZXT parts, but yeah, and they do have some crazy sales too. When NZXT, either at Micro Center or from their own direct website, sometimes they'd be discounting their cases for super cheap. But yeah, I can't believe it's been... I thought that was 2025, to be honest. My perception of time is basically, like, just completely skewed and messed up in the last few months. But I thought the NZXT rental controversy was, like, beginning of 2025. I did not realize it was November. I can't believe it's been that long. I don't think anyone likes NZXT's rental side, right? But also, don't rent. Do we have to go through this conversation again? Like, you want to talk about predatory and expensive? This is for 7 days, okay? You can do much more with the computer than you can a camera lens. $92 for 7 days. You want to look at how much bodies cost to rent? Like, again, this rental services are never meant to be what you do for the rest of your life. It is a very temporary solution. It could be whether you want to try it out or because you are traveling and you just need it temporarily, and then that's it. No one was ever meant to rent anything, I think, for multiple years on end. So that has always been my take on it. But yeah. Yes, it is. It is the most profitable business models, and it has its, like, it has its functions, right? Like, there is a need for rental services. Not everybody needs to buy a whole PC. So I just thought it was kind of weird how everyone got so mad at that when renting anything else is the same exact way. And people just need... It's... I think, honestly, it's on the consumer. Like, I know people make poor financial decisions, but they do that outside of the PC space. And are we gonna write expose pieces on everything ever. Car rentals, my goodness. People rent years on end when it comes to server hardware. What's the cost of that though? Is that much cheaper? Like, I would imagine like why not just buy it outright? I guess because you're, I don't know, like yeah, why wouldn't you just like build your own? Are you talking about like higher grade server stuff and not just home DIY home lab stuff? Leasing a car is renting, but then I guess the NZXT thing had an option to buy it out at the end too, right? Yeah. If people enter a contract, that's on them. I agree with you on that, except for student loans, because I think I don't know if student loan forgiveness completely is the solution, but student loans, and with how much you've been drilled as a kid to go to college because that's the way to be successful. Um, I think we need to make education way more affordable or free because you want more educated people in the populace. That is a benefit to society when people are more educated and are doing well in life. So in terms of like, crime rate and all that stuff, but that's a whole nother topic. So in terms of like, when you say if people enter a contract, that's on them, I would say for stuff like renting PCs and cars or whatever. But for people who put themselves into a contract and get into student debt to try to better their future and to get an education to become a contributing member to society, I think that's like a different way. People who entered into those contracts unfairly, I think we need a way to relieve them. But that's more political and yeah. But they love the poorly educated. I mean, it's true. NZXT issue was the lack of disclosure on the terms, and I think to me their apology was fine. I think their apology was fine. I didn't look into what they did in terms of like I'm not gonna read the freaking fine print on the the where however many page thing, but it all falls back to a PC isn't something that you necessarily need. It's a want. And you just need to be a little bit smarter when paying into things like that. I mean, go to the movie stores to rent movies. People still rent movies at the stores. We need a program where if you work for a company, they agree to pay off your student loans. Yeah, and they do have that for teachers, lawyers, and some professions do have that loan forgiveness programs, but it needs to be like applied to way more than just the subset, like those small few. Hey Danny, what are your thoughts on the whole YouTube AI age verification thing? We actually talked about this last week's stream a bit, Jonathan. And my thoughts were that if it was done in a way that actually makes the internet a safer place, then I'm for it. But I don't think there is any entity that can do it in a responsible way because they're going to be using this data to sell and do other things that you might not approve of with under the guise of making it a safer place. So I don't know. It doesn't affect me. I've already stated they have all my information. I'm sure my face is all over the internet. My information is everywhere already, so it doesn't affect me, but it doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do for everybody. Study hard and get a grant, not a loan. It's not that easy. You would think so, but I went to school on a full scholarship, full grants and stuff like that. I had no debt coming out of college. Helps to be poor, but I would say that I was very lucky for that. Right? It is not as easy to get your college paid for by whatever scholarships and all of that. It is actually very difficult. Even if you are like a top student and do extracurricular activities and all that stuff, it's not that simple. There's not enough scholarships and grants out there so that everybody who is like a studious person can get college paid for. And the cost of college is just ridiculously, it's stupid. Which is why, like, I don't think I'm going to push for my kids to necessarily go to university. I'm going to encourage them to look at the other more, like, affordable ways of continuing higher education. Can't afford, don't go. But that's the issue. Don't you want a more educated populace? Don't you want more doctors and higher quality doctors? We're constantly talking about there's a shortage of teachers. There's a shortage of like healthcare professionals, doctors and nurses and stuff like that. And then we're just saying you can't afford, don't go. I don't know if that makes sense. Other nations have solved it. Other first world countries have solved it. But somehow we are one of the countries, one of the powers in the world where if you get sick, you can go bankrupt. I don't even think that should be like a political opinion. That's like, what is political about that? Do I have any patents? No, I'm not smart enough to invent something to apply for a patent or a utility patent or anything like that. Nope. Actually, let me think. From my work, because I thought you meant personal, but from my engineering career, has anything I worked on been patented with my name on it? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think I have any patents, connected to career or personal. Yeah, but not every engineer works on stuff that gets patented. Some engineers just work on things. I have my name on like drawings and designs and in like official documentation for stuff, but a patent, no, I didn't work on anything that was like that was patented. Hey, what would you recommend to build with a micro center nearby with Battlefield 6? For Battlefield 6. What would I recommend? Depends on what your budget is. With the micro center nearby, you have access to good combo deals like CPU, motherboard, RAM. You're gonna be building something AM5. If you can get a 7600 X3D and you're trying to be kind of saving money, Micro Center still have 7600 X3Ds, right? Like, it's so annoying. Wait. What? I thought these were cheaper. I thought these were like 2 something. 320 for a 7600 X3D. You're pretty much like $50 away from a 7800 X3D. Why would you? I think these at this price is not as worth it, but because I mean, you're already spending $300 on the CPU, right? You're gonna be in the ballpark of a kind of expensive build to begin with. How much is a base 7800? Why are these? We just saw these on Newegg or Amazon. I thought for like 3 something. Like they were, dude. Micro Center. What's the point of doing bundle deals if you lose the savings in the price of the processor itself? Yeah, 376. Micro Center's gone for 450. I forget, does Micro Center price match? Yeah, I've heard of Canada Computers. That's like one of the biggest places to get hardware from, right? Up in Canada. I've heard of it, but I've never like checked out their website and stuff like that. What bundle would I recommend? What was your price range? Sounds like you don't have a price, or you don't have like a budget cap because you haven't mentioned it. They are cheaper if you select the store. Interesting. Let me select We'll go Tustin. I don't know, man. Tustin still has them for 450. St. David. But again, which bundle? It depends on where you are, or what your price range is for the total build. I think it's always a safe recommendation if people have enough money to spend on a 7800 XTD. It's just going to last them for many years to come, and it's going to be on a platform where if they do want to upgrade, AM5 should be supported for a little bit longer, a lot of bit longer. But so yeah, if you could price, how does the price matching work with the bundle deal? So they'll price match it and still give the savings for a bundle. Bundles are B something 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 something. I don't know what you tried to censor out. ITCHASS. What is this word? Bundles are B most of the time. What bad word? Badass? BAD. No. I don't think it's bitch ass. Bundles are bitch ass fits in there, but I don't think that's what you're trying to say. Oh, bullshit. Got it. BULL. Wait, ULLSH. Okay, yeah. Okay. I usually hear just people say BS. Honestly, for my Versatile, I gotta buy a monitor too. I'm saving. Yeah, but you still... What's the amount of money you have? You can't just ask for a build recommendation and what parts to get when you haven't stated how much you're willing to spend on the total system. But, D. Nwinner says... What build do you recommend for Cyberpunk? Budget is 1500. 1500. I don't think... Let's see what Micro Center pre-builds there are. Computer, desktops, gaming PCs. What do they have for 1500? Because some of their power spec systems are pretty decent. So this is a 12th gen. Okay, so I think we're going to be floating in the 50-70 range. You have 1K to spend. You're going to look for a 9060 XT build. You're going to get like a Ryzen 7600. Get it through a motherboard RAM bundle. Then you're going to pick up a 16 gigabyte 9060 XT. Then you can get either a 650 or 700 watt power supply. 1 to 2 terabytes of storage, depending on what the deals are at Micro Center. 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM. Either like 5600 or 6000 mega transfer per second speed. And then some sub $100 case and air cooler from Amazon. That is going to be your $1,000 cookie cutter build. I have a $1,000 build on my channel. You can actually watch that and follow that pretty closely and get something similar, except replace the CPU with the Ryzen bundle. But yeah, you're going to be looking at a like Ryzen 7600, 9060 XT 16 gig. Those are your core components for $1,000. It's pretty standard. For 1500 though, let's see what they got. So 4060 Ti, nope. So 5070 is going to be the best graphics card, because you're not going to get... It's going to be a pretty big jump up to a 5070 Ti. Now, that's not to say Micro Center is the best place to get stuff from. Cost Plus Gaming... If you go on the pre-built subreddit, we talked about Cost Plus Gaming. They are so popular right now that they can't... They're having trouble keeping up with order fulfillment. I think they're back ordered like 3 weeks to a month. But if we take a look at their builds, for $1,500, I guarantee you we're not going to be able to beat whatever, let's see, Essentials tier. No. M1 Flow. P1 Essential, M1 Essentials, Enthusiasts. Okay, look at this build. They will get you a... let's pick a 7800 X3D. So that changes the price quite a bit. Okay, no, let's get a 9700X. Because that's still pretty decent for this price range. 5070 Ti, 850 gigabyte. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Did they like adjust their prices? And then 32 gigs of RAM, everything else standard. They come with a 2 terabyte Gen 4 drive, 850 watt. So for 1580, you're getting a 9700X 850M motherboard and a 5070. Yeah, I don't think with $1,500, it's kind of tough to bust into 5070 Ti territory unless you're willing to build yourself. Because this card alone goes for $750 to $800, which is more than half your budget. Would my older Cooler Master RS550 be enough for your 3070 Ti and i5 12600K? I think that should be. I mean, that's gonna be pushing it. So 290 TDP, 12600K is what? And then it does account for like excursions and things like that. You should be fine because unless you're running Furmark and Prime 95 at the same time, your CPU is going to be running, probably at like partial capacity. So it's not going to be constantly pulling 125 to 150 watts. And your 750 Ti, if anything, you could like undervolt it. But I think RS 5500 or 550. Just let me make sure it's not like a garbage tier power supply. But 550 should be able to work. Assuming it's not like complete garbage. How old is this thing? Oh, wait. Okay, maybe not. Okay, let me look at the label on this thing. What year was this from? Rotate it. Let me take a look at this. Okay. Okay. So maybe not. 16 amp. What is the multiple? Yeah, I think this might be more questionable. Yeah. Okay, sorry. I wasn't aware of the I was not aware of the exact model. I thought this was a more modern one. This is a pretty old model. I would not I would not try to run a 3070 Ti with the 12600K on it. On a more modern, like decently built 550 watt Cooler Master, I would say sure, go for it. But actually looking at this one, probably not. The recommended PSU for a system like that, yeah, I mean, you always want some overhead if possible, but they're saying if it's possible. Though a 3070 Ti 12600K, if we measured it from the wall, I don't think it's going to be, I think it will be pulling, and this is after efficiency, right? I think it would be like 450-ish. Even with like all the drives and RAM and motherboard and all the like lights on your system, you're not gonna have as much headroom, but it would work. I don't know. I'm also a person who like, if you're talking about like used parts, trying to be on a budget, trying to save money and stuff like that, and you already have a power supply that's decent enough. Not this one, but like something that's more modern, single rail. Then that's actually the rated, what's it called? Current per rail supports the CPU and the GPU, total wattage. I think it's fine to run, your power supply closer to like 80 to 90% of capacity. So many people oversize their power supplies to run it at like 50%. And if you're building new or if like you have the money to spare, sure. But it depends on the situation you're in, right? No certified gold, bronze. For this one, Yeah, interesting. I mean, I don't really put much emphasis or care into the efficiency rating. But yeah, look at this box. We, what time frame? Let's see. Cooler Master RS 550 release. What year did this come out? Yeah, we're talking about a power supply from 16 years ago. Standards were different then, so that makes it kind of questionable. Though the efficiency, according to this review, or maybe it's not a review, maybe it's just based on the graphs that they showed. I mean, it's looking like around a bronze to silver efficiency ish, or is this closer to gold? But I usually don't put too much like weighting or importance into the efficiency. Any decent power supply is gonna be usually like at least 80 plus bronze. I think we've seen some C tiers that are like 80 plus white, but it's whatever. Getting a PVA Prestige 600, yeah, that's like a good C tier power supply. That's like 60 bucks or 60, 65 bucks. Yeah. What do you think is good with the Ryzen 7 9800 X3D, and what do you think is good with this? So you're saying what is good with these, the CPU and motherboard, and you have 450 pounds to spend on a graphics card? How much? You're talking about 600 bucks? I mean, you're sitting in 50-70 territory. Actually, isn't AMD cards more accessible and cheaper outside of the US? Is that the case in the UK or wherever you're located? Because I've heard from multiple people that where Nvidia is kind of hard to find, and maybe it was the Nvidia that was easier to find and at MSRP. But I mean, you're sitting at like 90-70 or 50-70 territory. You can go either or. I don't think there's a quote unquote right answer, by the way, to that. I'm not team red, I'm not team green, but I'm thinking you're either getting a 50-70 or a 90-70 to pair with it. I don't think you can afford a 9070 XT or a 5070 Ti with that amount of money. This name, Fake Frames Hater. I have an EVGA for the Win 3 Ultra 3090 Ti and a 5700X and NZXT C1000 PSU, and even that I think is a recommendation PSU because my GPU has a 700 watt transient spikes. The power supply, like the transient spikes, is built into whatever the power supply is rated, right? Like if you, how do I say this? Like there's no way for them to give you an exact like how much a specific card spikes over. So long as you have a power supply that is built well, you don't need to buy it to factor in the spikes, right? Because those are like very quick blips, like just a moment in time. Power supplies that are like, let's say rated for 800 watts, they're able to handle transients that go beyond the 800 watts. It's not that it's 800 and then you have to only build systems that are like 400 in case you spike 400, you know? So I personally think a lot of people overbuy on the power supply, and they do the opposite of the I bought the whole speedometer, I'm going to use the whole speedometer. So many people are very afraid to even get up to like 70 or 80% of whatever their power supply wattage is like. And if you look at how these power supplies are tested, at least the reputable ones that are built well, they test them under way more extensive load, up to like 150% load, like ongoing, not just, and they test the transients and stuff too. But yeah, so that's my take on it. I think you don't necessarily like for yours, the 3090 Ti 5700X. Given the those components, I think 1000 is fine. But I'm talking about other people who get like 1000 watts and they're running like a 5070 or a 5070 Ti. It's just like not necessary. Suggest a good board for the 7900X under 150. I mean, let's see. Let's see what we can find. 7900X. You're kind of locked into a B650, right? I would just get a used one to save some money. But for that price, MSI Mag, you can get a used one for 145. The Tomahawk, let's see, anything else? The B650 Gaming plus Wi-Fi, I think would be fine. If you really want to know, you should definitely look up the Hardware Unboxed does these motherboard roundup videos, which are great and all. And for most people's use cases, like they test it to the extreme, and then they see like the different, the performance differences, the VRM cooling and stuff like that. Unless you're like straight up running Prime 95 all day or doing some kind of compiling or whatever that runs your 7900X at 100% at like the full speed. If you're just gaming, it's the differences between the motherboards isn't going to be that big, and you're not going to be running into temperature issues that is shown in like the motherboard roundup videos. So I would pick something within your price range that just has a decent amount of VRM cooling and whatever your IO needs to be. If you want to get to the nitty gritty of it, you're gonna have to look at roundup videos. And yes, this is a good point, Scott. The power supply puts out at what that given time what is being asked of the system. So if you're running sitting idle, you're like pulling barely anything. When you're gaming, you're pulling a decent amount. And when you're doing stress testing, where you purposefully load up everything, that's when it's going to be at the peak. But nobody actually does that. I mean, not nobody, but like 99% of the people out there do not run their CPU and GPU for an extended period of time, usually at 100%. Unless they're like playing some super intense game that actually pushes the CPU to 100%, because the graphics card usually is going to be running at 100%. But yeah, most people, they're usually sitting at like 50% CPU utilization and 100% GPU utilization. But again, it doesn't hurt to size up more if you have the money for it. All right, last thing. AMD Radeon Ruby has posted their build in the Discord server. We're going to take a look at this. And then I got to go for the night to eat some dinner and hang out with the girls and the family. So what are we looking at here? PC build and setup showcase. Oh, I missed this one. We only got two before we go for the night. We'll look at the Turquoise Beast from AMD Radeon Ruby. So what do we got here specs wise? We've got the RG Strix. Okay, so monitors 1440p 180 hertz. Antec C8 aluminum white. Got some Razer keyboard. Black Widow. That was my first mechanical keyboard ever. Not the V4, but like the original Black Widow with blue switches. 32 gigs of 6000 memory, 9900X 5070 Ti, Steel Legend Wi-Fi AM5 board, X870 chipset, 1000 watt Seasonic PSU. So very solid build all around. Corsair Nautilus 360, 1 terabyte, and a 4 terabyte. So you've got 5 terabytes of total storage. Yeah, this is a pretty beastly system. I would say, are you using, is that the stock cables? It kind of looks almost, no, yeah, those look like stock cables. They're not, definitely not sleeved cables, but they look better than typical stock cables. I would say if you wanted to aesthetically improve this in any way, oh, you got the sag bracket on here too. I guess is the sag bracket tilted down a bit, or maybe it's just the angle of the picture. I would say the only thing that is very noticeable to me, well, I guess you have a black graphics card, is, so you went with the white theme, except for the graphics card and the extension, or not the extension cables, but the connectors and cables. I was going to say, I think it would tidy up the build and look a lot better if you had sleeved cables, because you can get the nice bends and curves in them. Because these kind of look like they're kind of flopping and loosely around. But if you got white ones, then your graphics card kind of sticks out like a sore thumb as the only black component in the build when you went for a white theme, very obviously, right? So it's kind of hard to give any like aesthetic critiques on this, I guess. In terms of the cable, let's not look at the cable management on the outside or the back, but inside, I think you could do some tidying up and hiding of stuff, because I could see all these connectors for the fans, and up here, like all these connectors, usually there's a way to discreetly hide them. Like you should be able to tuck these up higher behind these fans so you can't see it, or tuck them into the grommeted holes, and then out here you could pull some of these a little bit tighter in. But I mean, you got solid specs. The build is functionally fine. In terms of the fan configuration, this case I think is usually meant for like a crap ton of fans. I see that you have the intake on the bottom, exhaust out top of the radiator, but to me, like for a case like this, they made this case so that you could load it up with fans. You've got like this big opening here. It's just blank space with the fan, mounting area here and the exhaust. I'm pretty sure thermally your system is fine. Because fans don't make that big of a difference when you already have a decent intake exhaust setup. But it just, to me, when you have a case that's like a big panoramic fish tank bowl thing that has all this big, wide open, empty space, they intended for you to fill it up with more fans. But I understand that fans are freaking expensive. A 3-pack of Corsair fans is like, what, 60, 70 bucks? So I think adding more fans is not like financially like the play, right? The amount you spend on more fans is not going to make that big of a difference to your happiness or the temperatures of your build. It looks like it's sufficiently cooled. Aesthetically though, it looks like there's missing pieces to the build. If you were looking for, things to buy in the future, I guess. But yeah. Yeah, see, I'm not surprised that in your benchmarks, the GPU and CPU run fine. It's just the way that the case was designed. They have so many spots for fans so that it stands out. If you're looking at it with like a critical eye, I guess. Yeah. More fans, more CFM. Yeah, you can run lower. The more fans you have, you can run them at lower speeds, move the same amount of air, lower noise, etc. Okay, what is this? Lovin 8. Lovin 8. I want this more minimalistic though. 4070 Super, Ryzen 7 5700X, 32 gigs of DDR4, 4TB M.2, 850 watt iBuyPower case. I wish we had more of a look at your build, your setup. I like the look of your setup. Pretty clean, pretty minimal. You got like a bunch of stuff on your table. Kind of dark though. You do have a screen light or like this desk light, but pretty clean setup with the vertical monitor. And you got a phone for potentially content creation, online webcam setup maybe. And then you got a mic arm right here, but I want this more minimalistic though. How can you get more minimalistic than this? This is already pretty minimal. Like you got nothing except for the keyboard and mouse on your desk and camera and mic. The only way you get this more minimal is you put your PC on the ground, which funnily enough, some people think is the worst thing in the world to do. Putting your PC on the ground is fine. There's like no problems with it. If anything, if it's carpet, put it on like some kind of hard surface, like a wood board or something. But yeah, I don't know of any other way to get this more minimal. It's pretty minimal to begin with. Get rid of the monitors, yeah. Just one monitor only. Or the vertical monitor is pretty like, it's a pretty big part of the setup. You could go with a smaller bottom monitor for your secondary, but I'm guessing you have vertical for a specific reason. I'm guessing you do either some kind of like coding or just reading articles and stuff online where vertical space is beneficial. So you can't really do that with a setup that I have with a horizontal mini monitor. But pretty minimal already, so wait. Where did Blind Tech post? Oh, okay, here we go. White budget flip. So you guys didn't know, Blind Tech, aka used to be Jonathan Talks Hardware, is a PC flipper. We got a Ryzen 55. This is the last one. Then I gotta go, cause it is 7:30. It's 2.5 hours in the stream. We've been chilling for a while, but we can always continue next week, and we always do. Oh yeah, you can also turn off your RGB lights or make it like a white, or yeah, just turn it off to go minimal, but then you don't have any illumination. All right, this is Jonathan, aka Bindtex build, Ryzen 5 5500, ID cooling tower for heat pipe thing, pretty standard. MSIB 550, 16 gigs of rip jaws memory. Ooh, what card is that? We've got the Asus 2070 Super. My goodness. 2070 Super. Still a pretty capable card. It's just, I haven't seen that shroud design for a while. And then 1TB SSD, a PVIA Eclipse case, and Okino's extensions, white, high power HP1, 600 watt power supply. All right, let's take a look at these build pictures though. Got all these glamour shots of it with the Wi-Fi card. It looks like. Yep, the Wi-Fi card with the antennas. Mixed white and black build. Any critiques to this? How much did you build for, and how much are you flipping it for? Is my question. What is the profit margin you're gonna make on this? But yeah, this, if I had to assume, I know you're into deal hunting. I'm not gonna read the chat yet. You probably built this for. Let me look at this again. Let's see. Like see, okay. Like 450, 475. I'm guessing is what your cost in parts is. I mean, I'm assuming you got like used parts for a lot of it. And then you're going to try to sell for like what, 600, 650 maybe? How close am I? Built for around 450. Boom. I was kind of spot on. I said 450 to 475 and sell it for 650. Pretty close, right? I haven't lost my touch in price estimation. Casey Walls, what up? How you doing, Casey? No, right now it's difficult to warrant an upgrade from a 3070. I know VRAM limits it, but unless I spend 600 plus, I don't believe I'll get a noticeable jump performance. Would you agree? Yes, I agree. Your 3070s are still such good cards. But the most important thing is, how's the 3070 serving you specifically? If you are playing the games you want to play, fine. Or if turning down the settings or if enabling DLSS or FSR to get higher frame rates at whatever resolution and settings you're playing at does not bother you, then in my opinion, that is the definition of don't upgrade. Like, and yeah, it is pretty expensive to get the next. You could upgrade to like a 9060 XT for around $400, the 16 gig model, but that's like that's such a minor upgrade. It's not worth it, right? You want to make an upgrade that's worth it, and then so that's going to push you into at least 5070 territory, which starts at 550. So yeah, if you have a 3070, it's starting to age, but it's not like it's incapable of doing stuff. if you needed me to assure you that you don't need to upgrade, this is my assurance. Save your money for now and just wait for prices to either come down, or maybe when the 60 stuff releases, we'll see a shift in the market and you could buy one of those new 50 series super cards, or someone offloading a 50 series non-super. So yeah, it doesn't hurt to wait. When's the next LAN party stories? I'm working on it right now. I don't have it up, but I am working on it. Like here, I will show you guys on, where's my phone? Oh, I put it over here. See if I can get it on the screen. I can't share the screen because it's dumb, but hello. Premiere Pro, will you open, please? Don't embarrass me in front of the stream. Yeah, we already filmed it. It was filmed back in like April. So LAN party stories, spring 2025. I last worked on it 13 hours ago, but let me open it up. Let me make sure Melissa's not in any of these shots real quick. Okay, here we go. But no, it's crazy because like this is the pre-LAN footage that I'm still cutting down right now, right? So if we look at the timeline, I'm at 2 hours of like the pre-LAN stuff. That's not even including the, I don't remember, in terms of the LAN stuff, I forgot how much footage I have, but probably like 20 hours or something. So yeah, I'm slowly editing it down. It is in work. Let me make sure there's no like footage of, oh yeah, okay. So here's some footage you guys can see. Shouldn't have Melissa in it, but we did have a lot of pre-LAN stuff. So yeah, it is being worked on. It is my sole focus right now. There will be no other videos released until the LAN party video gets released. Yes, exactly. It's not worth the increase of that. What are the editing PC system specs? 12700K Intel B580. It works. I could probably do better with a better processor and like an NVIDIA graphics card, but it works. And I don't know what my next upgrade or when my next like PC upgrade will be. Wife reveal. I made sure not to accidentally reveal her. I've been pretty good about it, right? In the history of the channel, I think I revealed Melissa's face accidentally. There is a video right now on the channel where for a split second you can see Melissa's full face. I'm not going to tell you which one it is. It's actually an older video. It's pretty old. But there is footage that you can find on the internet right now that shows Melissa's full face. Also, I have mistakenly accidentally left footage of Melissa's face in like previous LAN party videos, and people have pointed it out, and I've gone in and like edited or cut it out using the YouTube tools. But there is one that for a split second I left it in there just to see if anybody would find it, and nobody has found it yet. So her face has been revealed. Lovin says, thanks for the PC setup review. For sure. Thanks for submitting it. I always love looking at your guys' PCs and setups and, you know, giving my 2 cents whether or not you ask for it. And showing praise to, like, you guys' clean builds and clean setups and stuff. So, yeah, I always love doing that. No, but I also think it's a relevant time to advise skipping AM4 to AM5 upgrade if you have an X3D chip. AM6 will be around the corner soon. AM4 is still plentiful. Would you agree? Yeah, I think AM4 is like going to be relevant for so long. I will still be doing budget AM4 builds at least for the next 3 or 4 years. I guarantee it. My issue is that I don't even think you need the X3D chips because they're kind of expensive. 5800 X3D, I think, is overpriced. If you're building a system from scratch, buying an X3D, either 5700 X3D, 5600 X3D, or 800 X3D it's the same price to go AM5. So in that case, I would say just go AM5 if you're building from scratch. If you have a system and you are sitting on AM4, then yes. I don't even think you need an X3D chip though. Just getting like a Ryzen 5800, 5800X, XT, 5700X, 5600, 5600X. Those are still very capable for what they are. And I don't know. I've always been of the mindset of you can always stress your graphics card out more. If you really need higher FPS for like esports games and stuff like that, then maybe. But I think a lot of people overestimate their need for like 300-400 FPS in esports games. Like you're not that good, unfortunately. Like statistically, you are not that guy or girl that is that pro gamer that can tell the difference between 200 versus like where it'll make a difference. You could probably tell the difference, but is it gonna make a difference in your output and play? A lot of us aren't pro gamers here. What up, Chris? I'm guessing you're still at work. How you doing? How's the B570? The B580 for editing, it is noticeably like, I think it works, but compared to like, let's say if I had a 5060 or 5060 Ti, I think there's in terms of like export render times, even though that is heavily CPU bound, but just any of the GPU hardware related stuff or the just scrubbing through footage and stuff, the NVIDIA cards are slightly better. It's not like the the Intel card is bad. It's just between the two, the NVIDIA one, like I've switched between the two and I've noticed it being better. But I'm just toughing it out with it. Just left, hate days like this. Sorry to hear, Chris. We're about to end the stream too. So I don't know if you're listening in the car, but unfortunately you're gonna have to watch the pod. They won't be making new 5800 X3Ds, and for 200 bucks, my 5700 X3D. See, what was crazy was that the 5700 X3D used to be like 140, 150 bucks on AliExpress. I don't even think it's 200 now. Like, let me see. One last thing before we go. Last price check. AliExpress. Unless, are they available on Amazon? I think they might be. Is that what I saw? 5700 X3D. It's more of they realize how valuable these chips are or how good they are. So then I don't know if there's like an actual shortage, but I think they just realized they were selling them for way too cheap, and now they're only selling it for like, see, on AliExpress 5700 X3D has been ruined. It's like $300+. I think on Amazon, can you even find it? Here's one. How much is this going for? Buy used for 140. No, that's not an X3D. Yeah, see, I can't even find it. So it used to be the advice was tell people to go 5700 X3D. Now that advice doesn't really work anymore when these chips are 300 bucks and you can get a like a Ryzen, like an equivalent platform and chip in an AM5 with the new features for the same price. It doesn't make sense at this price, in my opinion. Yeah. Yeah, they used to be so cheap. Now it's like, no more. No mas. I think it's one of those that they're not making anymore. Yeah, which is kind of unfortunate. So I didn't. Yeah, it wasn't available in the U.S. like mainstream consumer market. The 57X3D was kind of like an AliExpress special. And I don't know if it, like the history of it, I don't know if it was intended just to be for like the global market and not specifically the US or Western market, but AliExpress was pretty much where everybody got them from, and now that ship has long sailed. And prices of 5800 X3Ds just make no sense. At that point, get the 9600 and it performs like the same. Alright. I think that's going to be it for the stream for tonight, though, guys. We went on for a little bit longer than intended, 2 hours and 45 minutes. But, yeah, in terms of upcoming content, LAN party stories, that's coming next. Also, keep an eye out on Linus Tech Tips. I will also be in a video on that channel. Should be within the next couple of weeks. So yeah, there's also, please, if you guys, please follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I need to grow my following over there. So if you guys haven't yet, and you do use those platforms, please go there because it's weird, man. Look at this. On TikTok, I've had reels that, you know, they hit like 5,000, 2,000, 2,800, whatever. So I haven't had anything gone viral yet, but I would have thought from those numbers and just from me being like, having like, you know, following elsewhere, I thought the follower growth would have been a little bit quicker, but growth on TikTok has been pretty slow. Instagram is doing a little bit better, but yeah, I'm starting to post all my stuff over there as well. Right now it's a bunch of repost stuff, but I'll post new things over here as they come out. But please follow me there just to help me get those numbers up. But other than that, you guys have a great rest of your evening or day. Have a great rest of your week and have a great weekend coming up. And yeah, I'll see you hopefully in next week's stream. Same time, same day as always. Bye-bye. Now this is the awkward moment where I'm trying to find my piano to end the stream. Alright, bye guys.